Oh, sharing the screen with everyone?
Yeah.
Online.
Oh, it's because the way that sucks. The way I set it so that it will
Okay.
not show everyone when they talk. That
Oh, okay. Getting ready to do a couple of other things, and so I'm going, but I can't see anyone yet. Good afternoon. I hope everyone's enjoying the cool. It's finally, I need a sweater in this weather. So this afternoon, I believe we're still in Benares, though I can't find where she left anywhere else. It's the 16th of December, 1912, and it's on page 153. I raised the topic of visions and asked the mother, people have various visions. Are they subjective or can they be actually seen by one's physical eyes? Mother, they're all subjective, but I had seen one actually with these physical eyes. It was at Kamarpukur. A girl like Radu, about 11 or 12 years old, wearing ochre clothes with a string of Rudraksha beads around her neck, her hair all rough and dry, would accompany me wherever I went. Then I performed the Panchatapa at Nilambar Babu's rented house in Belur. Yoganma did it too. After this, the girl disappeared and I saw her no more. Now, there's a footnote on what the Panchatapa is. It means the austerity of the 5 fires. The aspirant lights 4 fires, each 7 feet apart in a square formation. Sitting in their midst with the burning sun above as the 5th fire, the aspirant practices prayer and meditation. This Nilambar Babu's house is very close to the ferry dock where you get on the boat at Belur to go to Dakshineshwar. So you go out of Belur past the Western Guest House and you walk a little further and you come to the boat dock. And on the, I believe it's the right-hand side of the little lane you take to the boat dock is Nilambar Babu's house. And devotees can still go in there, see where Holy Mother stayed, and go up to the roof where she practiced the Panchatapas. Disciple, what is the need for tapasya, austerity? Mother, it is very necessary. Look at Yogan. How much does she fast even now? She practices intense austerities. Golab is an adept in japa. One day, Naran's mother came to visit me. Naran said to her, perhaps you had practiced austerities. Therefore, you got Vivekananda as your son. Repeat them, and then you may get another. The master practiced all kinds of disciplines. He used to say, I have made the mold. Now you may cast the image. Disciple, what is the meaning of casting the image? Budev, it means to meditate on the master and mold yourself after him. Mother, yes, he has understood it. To cast the image means to meditate and contemplate on the master, to think of the various incidents in his life. By meditating on him, one gets all the spiritual moods. He used to say, one who remembers me never suffers from want of food or from other physical privations. Maku, did he himself say this? Mother, yes, these are the very words from his mouth. By remembering him, one gets rid of all sufferings. Don't you see that all his devotees are happy? Elsewhere, you will not find devotees like those of the master. Here in Benares, I see so many holy men, but can you point out one who is like his devotees? Disciple, there is a reason for that, Mother. About him, we feel as if the market has only just come to a close. All the signs of the market are still there. People are still moving about. The devotees and the intimate disciples of the Master are still alive. We feel that the Master, as it were, is very near us. He has not gone away to any great distance. We shall get the response if we but call on him. Mother, yes, many people do get it. Disciple, Krishna, Rama, and others seem to belong to a bygone age. They do not seem near enough to respond to our prayer. Mother, yes, that's true. Referring to the Kasipur garden, I said, it is a sacred place, and now a European gentleman lives there. Mother, at the Kasipur garden, the Master spent the last days of his life. The place is associated with so much meditation, samadhi, and the practice of austerities. It is the place where the Master entered into Mahasamadhi. It is a place permeated with intense spiritual vibration. One realizes God consciousness by meditating there. The place may be acquired if the Master commands its owner through dream to hand it over to Bellarmont. It now belongs to Bellarmont. One day at Kasipur, Niranjan, Swami Niranjanananda, and others planned to drink the juice of a date palm. To my astonishment, I saw the Master too going behind them. When I asked him about it the next day, he said, "Oh, it is all your imagination. Your brain must have been heated by too much cooking." There's quite a long footnote on this story. A more detailed version of this incident was related by the mother to the mother of Nirad Maharaj. The Master was then completely bedridden at Kasipur. Swamiji and other intimate devotees were serving him to the best of their ability. One evening, they planned to drink juice by tapping a date palm which was in the corner of the Kasipur garden. The Master was told nothing of this plan. In the evening, all of them proceeded towards the tree. The mother was staying then in the same building. She suddenly noticed the Master darting down like an arrow. Startled at this, she wondered, is it possible? How can one who has to be helped even to change sides on his bed rush down like that? And yet she had seen it happen before her eyes. She went to the Master's room and found his bed empty. In a bewildered state of mind, she searched for him everywhere. Not finding him, she returned to her room in extreme confusion and apprehension in her mind. A little later, she saw him returning to his room as swiftly as he had left it. Later, when the mother asked him about this, he said, "Oh, did you notice it?" He then continued, "They are all youngsters. They were proceeding merrily to drink the juice of the date palm in the garden. I saw a black cobra at the foot of the tree there, which was so ferocious that it would have bitten all of them. The boys did not know it. So I went by a different route and drove it away after warning, 'Never come here again.'" The mother was dumbfounded on hearing this. The Master had asked her not to divulge this to anyone then. Vijay Goswami had a vision of the Master at Dhaka. He even felt the touch of the Master's body. After the passing away of the Master, Narayan and other youngsters said, "Let us continue to stay here at the Kasipur Garden House, at least for some days more, to help the mother get over the shock. If necessary, we will feed her by begging food." But Ramchandra Datta and the other older devotees were not willing. They said, "You need not go about begging to feed her," and the house was given up. I can stay at that place, Udbodhan, Calcutta, only so long as Sarad is there. After him, I do not see anyone who can shoulder my burden. Swami Yogananda was there. And there is Krishnalal too, calm and quiet, a disciple of Yogan. Sharat can look after me very well. Sharat is my burden bearer. Disciple, can't Maharaj Swami Brahmananda do it? Mother, no, Rakhal is not of that temperament. He can't face troubles physically. He can do so intellectually or through someone. He's of a totally different makeup. Disciple, what about Babaram Maharaj, Swami Premananda? Mother, no, not even he. Disciple, how then is he managing the Belar Mat? Mother, that may be, but taking responsibilities of women, he can at the most make inquiries from a distance. Then the mother talked about the disciples of the master, whereupon the disciple asked her, please tell me who these disciples of the master are. We cannot recognize them. Mother, what do I know? But it is true that those who had been born with the master in his previous incarnations have accompanied him this time also. Disciple, I do not have any such desire as to see a four-handed deity and the like. I'm quite satisfied with what we have. Mother, that is also the case with me. What shall we gain by these supernatural visions? For us, the master exists and he is everything. Udbodhan, 11 February 1913. Disciple, Mother, Swamiji has initiated so many people with the mantra, and you also have initiated so many. They come and go away and are not remembered. Mother, so many people come. Can all be remembered? When the fire burns, do not the moths come? It is like that. Disciple, they take the mantra, but what do they get? We find the man remains as he was. Mother, power passes through the mantra. The gurus goes to the disciples, and the disciples comes to the guru. That is why the guru at the time of initiation takes on himself the sins of the disciple and suffers so much from physical maladies. It is extremely difficult to be a guru, for he has to take the responsibility for his disciples' sins. If the disciple commits a sin, that affects the guru too. On the other hand, the guru is benefited if the disciple is good. Some disciples make quick progress, and some do it slowly. It depends upon the tendencies of the mind acquired by one's past deeds. That is why Rakhal, Swami Brahmananda, hesitates about giving initiation. He said to me, Mother, as soon as I initiate a disciple, I fall ill. The very idea of giving initiation makes me feel feverish. One Swami sent a boy to the Holy Mother for an initiation. She heard all details from him and said, You have your own hereditary Vaishnava gurus. Take initiation from them. Whatever may be the reason, the mother did not initiate him. After supper, I went to bring a beetle roll. The Holy Mother was tying the mosquito curtains for the children in the next room. I heard her speaking to the mad aunt. Aunt, don't take me for an ordinary mortal. You abuse me so recklessly. I do not take it to heart, considering it only as so much noise. If I take notice of it, who will save you? It is to your advantage that I am alive. Your daughter is yours only. I am here only until she grows up. Otherwise, what is attachment for me? I can cut it off this moment. When I pass away, one day will, like camphor, you will never get a trace of me. Mad aunt, when did I scold you? I just said a few words. The trouble is when you give without reserve. She was of the opinion that the Holy Mother should keep all her money for Radhu. Mother, mine is a childlike nature. Do I keep meticulous accounts? I give to whoever asks. Returning from Benares, the Holy Mother stayed a few days at Calcutta and then left for Jairambati. On 25th February, she reached Kolpara. She was given the room next to the shrine. I brought out a banyan seed and said, "See, Mother, this seed is smaller than the seed of red spinach, and yet from this comes a huge tree. What a wonder." She replied, "Why not? You see how small is the bija, the mystic syllable of the Lord's name? Yet from that springs forth in due time spiritual consciousness, devotion, love, and whatnot." We came to Jairambati and sat for a meal at night. Someone said, "Mother, did you notice how inconsiderate these people, the mother's brothers, are? They knew of your coming, yet they did not send anyone to receive you at the river crossing." Thereupon the mother said to the eldest brother, Prasanna, "Why did you not send a man to help me across the river? My children," referring to her disciples, "accompanied me. You did not go yourself, nor did you send a man." The brother replied, "I did not go for fear of Kali," the next brother. "He might complain that I was trying to win you over to my side. Do I not know what you are and what these devotees are? I know everything, but I am helpless. Please bless me that I may have you as my sister in my future births also. I do not want anything else. Mother, do you think that I shall be born again in your family? I have had enough of it this time. Sri Rama once prayed, never may I be born again in the womb of Kausalya. And to be born in your family again? Our father was a devotee of Rama and always helped others. Our mother too had such a kind heart. That is why I was born in this family." One day, Uncle Prasanna came to the mother and said, "Sister, I hear that you appeared to someone in a dream and initiated them. You also told him that he would be liberated. You have brought us up from our childhood, and yet we remain just as we are." In reply, the mother said, "The master's will shall prevail. And look here, Sri Krishna was so intimate with the shepherd boys. He played with them, laughed and wandered with them, and shared their food. But did they know who he really was?" One day, some of the devotees were about to clean the place where they had just finished their meals. The mother prevented them, saying, No, please don't do all that. You are all precious jewels of the Lord." When the devotees insisted on going ahead with it, the mother said, "There is a person appointed for that work. The maid will do it." Jairambati, are there any questions or comments so far? We can take a little break. Okay. Then Jairambati, 14th March, 1913. Dr. Lalit of Shambhazar and Prabodh Babu arrived. At about 4:00 in the afternoon, they came to the Holy Mother and saluted her. The following conversation took place. Lalit Babu, "Mother, what rules and regulations should one observe regarding food?" Mother, "One should not eat the food given at funeral obsequies, the Shraddha ceremony. It does harm to devotional life. Sri Ramakrishna used to forbid it. Besides, first offer to God whatever you eat. One must not eat unoffered food. As your food is, so will be your blood. From pure food, you get pure blood, pure mind, and strength. Pure mind begets ecstatic love." Prema Bhakti. Lalit Babu, "Mother, we are householders. What shall we do at the Shraddha ceremony of our relatives?" Mother, "Supervise the ceremony and give help to your relatives so that they may not be offended, but try somehow to avoid taking meals on that day. If you cannot do that, Then on the day of the Shraddha ceremony, eat what is offered to Vishnu and other gods. The devotees can partake of the food of the Shraddha ceremony if it is first offered to God. Lalit Babu. Many a time there remains an excess of unused foodstuff procured from the Shraddha ceremony. Can one cook and eat that? Mother, yes, you can. That will not injure you, my child. A householder cannot help it. Prabodh Bahu. Mother, Babu, the master loved renunciation, but how little we practice it. Mother, yes, you will acquire it slowly. You make some progress in this life, a little more in the next, and so on. It is the body alone that changes. The Atman always remains the same. Renunciation of lust and gold. The master used to say, I can change Kamarpukur into gold if I so desire, by requesting Mathur Babu to do so. But what good will it do? It is all transitory. Regarding some devotees, the master used to say that it was their last birth. He would remark, referring to some devotee, you see, he has no desire whatsoever for anything. This is his last birth. The devotees prostrated themselves before the mother and took leave of her. Speaking about the objection of certain people that some of Sri Ramakrishna's sannyasin disciples, being Shudras, were not even entitled for sannyasa, according to orthodox rules, the mother said, the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna are jnanis and therefore sannyasins. A jnani can be a sannyasin. Take the case of Gurdasi. A woman cannot be initiated into sannyasa. But is Gurdasi a woman? She is more than a man. How many men are there like her? See what she has achieved, built a school, acquired horses, a carriage, and so forth. The master used to say, if a woman embraces sannyasin, she is certainly not a woman. She is really a man. He further used to say to Gurdasi, I am pouring water, you will make the clay. Jayarambati, 28th March, 1913. It was morning. I entered the inner apartment of the Holy Mother's house and found her cutting the kalmi green. Seeing her cutting something else also along with it, I said, what is this that you are cutting up with the kalmi green? This is grass. The mother said, this is also a kind of green. The complexion of Krishna was like this grass. I was seated for the midday meal. Radhu's mother arranged a leaf plate and a cup of water in the veranda of her house for another guest, perhaps one of her relatives. A cat drank a little water out of the cup. So Radhu's mother changed the water. The cat again drank some of the water, and again she changed it. A third time the cat drank, whereupon Radhu's mother chased it and screamed, you rogue, you burnt-faced cat, I will kill you. It was the hot season. The Holy Mother was there. She said, no, you must not prevent a thirsty animal from drinking. Besides, the cat has already touched the water. At this, Radhu's mother shouted in anger, you don't have to become compassionate towards the cat. You have shown enough compassion towards man. Why not reserve your kindness for man? The mother said in a serious voice, he is unfortunate indeed who does not gain my compassion. I do not know anyone, not even an insect for whom I do not feel compassion. I was seated for the evening meal. The mother herself had cooked a curry, potatoes, and other vegetables. She gave some of them to me and said, eat and tell me how you like it. Disciple, this is a patient's diet, cool and bland. Who cooked it? Mother, I myself. Disciple, you yourself? Mother, yes. Disciple, well, it could be done better. It is not exactly to the taste of people of our part of the country. Mother, you had better taste a little of the liquid portion. Nalini, oh, Aunt, you never put any red chili in your curry. How can anyone relish it? Mother to Nalini, don't listen to him. When you eat it, you will find it tastes good. Disciple, for some past days, I've been asking about the curries you prepare, and I've tasted some of them, but they all taste alike. Whoa, she's getting a real critique. Mother, very well. One day I shall cook as they do in your part of the country. You must show me how to cook. I am sure you had a lot of chilies, don't you? Disciple, not so much. But a curry need not necessarily taste bad because it is less pungent. We're going from bad to worse. Mother to Nalini, bring some gram tomorrow. I shall make some soup. I used to cook very well. Now I'm out of the practice. At Kamarpukur, Lakshmi's mother and I used to cook. She could cook very well. One day, the master and Hridoy sat for their meals. Referring to a preparation made by Lakshmi's mother, the master said, "Oh, Hridu, the one who has cooked this may be compared to the physician Ramdas." And tasting the curry prepared by me, he said, "Ah, whoever has cooked this is Srinath Sen." Now, Ramdas was a renowned physician, while Srinath Sen was only a quack. At this, Hridoy said, "What you say is true, but you can get your quack physician at all times to render you all kinds of service, even to massage your feet. You have only to send for her and she comes. But physician Ramdas takes a big fee for his visit, and you cannot get him at all hours. Moreover, people at first consult a quack. He is your friend at all times." The master said, "That's true. That's true. She is always available." Jairambati, 8th May 1913. Radhu was indisposed, being laid up with fever and pain. Her eccentric mother began to scold the Holy Mother, saying, "You are about to kill my daughter with medicines." As she kept on scolding, she lost control over her tongue. Uncle Bharata was called in. He chased Radhu's mother out of the house. The Holy Mother, too, could bear it no longer. She spoke some sharp words to Radhu's mother. Addressing us, the mother said, "I was married to one who never addressed me as Tui." That's the very familiar. One day at Dakshineshwar, I carried the master's food to his room. As I was leaving the room, the master thought that it was his niece Lakshmi and called out, "Close the door behind you, Tui." I said, "Yes, I am closing it." Recognizing my voice, he was embarrassed and said, "Ah, it is you. I thought it was Lakshmi. Please don't mind." That unintentional disrespect upset him so much that the next morning he came to the Nahabat saying, "Look here, my dear. The whole of last night I couldn't sleep, worrying how indeed I spoke so rudely to you. And look at this Radhu's mother, how she abuses me day and night. I do not know what sin I committed to deserve all this. Perhaps I worshipped Shiva with a thorny bilwa leaf. The thorn has now become this thorn, this Radhu's mother." Jairambati. Did we have a footnote on that one? No. Okay. 12th May 1913. Referring to Radhu's illness, the mother said, "My mind now does not dwell upon Radhu even in the slightest degree. I'm sick of her illness. I force my mind upon her. I pray to the Master saying, 'O Lord, please divert my mind a little to Radhu. Otherwise, who will look after her?' I have never seen such illness. Perhaps in her former birth, she died of an illness for which she had not performed any penance. I have in mind to do these two things. One, to invoke the help of a chanda, a fierce spirit, through adequate rites, and the other, to undertake the Chandrayana vow. Whenever the master experienced Mahabhava, he used to experience excruciating burning sensation in his chest. You must have read all about it in the books. My brother-in-law then brought him to the village home. He called in a few exorcists, and with their help, a chanda was invoked. He addressed the master by his childhood name and said, "Oh, so-and-so, Gadai, your state of Mahabhava is due to the grace of God. It is not a disease. Do not eat too much betel nut. It increases lust. If a man dies from a particular illness without doing the necessary penance, he gets the same illness in his next birth. But this rule does not apply to a holy man." And the footnote on that is, the idea is that an illness is brought about by one's evil karma. In the case of the last illness, it may be that one dies before the karma is fully exhausted. And in that case, one may have to suffer for that residuary karma in the next birth, the suffering taking the shape of the same old disease. Hence, one should perform penance, charity, worship, etc., as atonement for one's sinful karma during one's last illness, and thus one gets over the effects of that karma. Kedar's mother. The monk dies repeating the name of God, and therefore he attains to God. Mother. Yes, that's true. The other day, a young man died at Kalpara. Will he be reborn? No, that was his last birth. At the time of his illness in Kasipur, the master once remarked, "I am ill. The officers of the Kali temple may criticize me for not performing any penance." Then to Ramlal he said, "Take these 10 rupees and go to Dakshineshwar. Offer the money to Mother Kali and distribute it among the Brahmins and others." A sadhu is not entitled to perform any ritual. Therefore, the master asked Ramlal to offer the money to his chosen deity and later on distribute it among the Brahmins and others. In ancient times, the rishis used to live in the forest. Could they perform penances like the Chandrayana? They used to offer only fruits and roots to their chosen ideal and later on distribute them among the needy. That was enough for them. Radhu's mother. My aunt died of a certain illness. Do you mean to say that she has been born again with that illness? Mother. Do you think that your aunt has not been reborn? Certainly she has again taken birth and inherited that illness as well. Many a man born in a particular family takes birth and dies again and again in the same family as a result of his karma. Do we have any questions or discussion? We've gone over quite a few really interesting things. You all know how to unmute yourselves so you can ask a question, right?
I think the attitude towards women is always a little distasteful.
It is to me too. Very much so.
I mean, there's definitely, it implies that they are not equal.
They're not. The only time we're equal is when we are the Atman. In this, they're just not.
So do you
think the Upanishads or any of the scriptures?
So do you think it's an inferior birth in their opinion, to be born a woman?
In some people's opinion, but obviously not with Ramakrishna, and because he does, as he says, the women who take sannyas, he says they're men, but what he means is they have gone beyond identification with this sheath. They don't identify themselves or behave in a manner that is the way regular women do. They're not, when they, like he always talks about women in gold when he meant lust and greed. They're not trying to entrap men. They're not trying to entice them. They're not trying to lead them anywhere. So in that way, they have stopped being women. The Indians, from what I have seen, have a great deal of emphasis on the mystery and wiles of women. If any of you have ever seen a Bollywood movie or the Ramayana or the Mahabharata, they give a great deal of credit for the wiles that women are capable of.
And yet, the goddess, the female Shakti, is extremely important.
Absolutely.
But remember that most women were pregnant by the time they were 14 and 15.
Yeah.
And they had endless children by the time they were 25 or 30, and then they died quite early.
Yep.
They didn't have the time for a spiritual life, or it was tough.
Pravrajika is pointing out they didn't have time for spiritual life. As she said, they were pregnant by the time they were 13 or 14. They had so many kids by the time they were 25, and they died very early because of that. So they had no time to become spiritual, and they had to marry.
Yeah.
They had no choice in the whole process. It was the way the society was brought up, which is why Vivekananda changed it. And he said, educating the women will raise the whole society. And it has.
Yeah.
When he saw the American women who had education, that's when he said, that's what we need to do. We need to educate our women. Because he had great faith in the Divine Mother in raising women to that level rather than to the level of wife and servant.
Right.
This was all in the late 1800s, early 1900s. It was very few women. I mean, women were getting educations over here, but very few, even here. And Swamiji met the cream of the crop when he met the elite of Boston, the elite of New York, the elite of Chicago, women who had every advantage. And he saw how strong they were and how they could influence their husbands in a spiritual way rather than in a worldly way. So it was changing the whole society. But yes, it's always bothered me too when they talk, when they say a sin greater than killing a Brahmin, a cow, or a woman. And I go, okay. We're in a different era. Anyone else have anything? I found it, there was one thing I thought was kind of interesting. Well, no, I passed it too far. I was going to make a note of it, but I didn't. Well, I did. Did you notice too that how they were criticized for saying, women can't become sannyasins, but they also said Shudras can't, that only certain castes could take sannyas. And so Ramakrishna's disciples were not all Brahmins. He had Kshatriyas and he had Shudras. He made Latu Latu was a saint and one of his direct disciples. He was a sweeper boy. And all of those things they were criticized for. But I think the only time we get out of lust and greed is when we stop identifying with the physical form and try to remember the identity with the Atman. And I think it also helps all kinds of relationships in everyday life when you see people and you don't see a man or a woman. You see, this is a manifestation of God. This is a manifestation of God. And it helps, as I say, I think all business relations, everything in life. But that's me. Is everyone doing well? Are you all getting tired of being incarcerated? We finally have fog and it feels so good. We were so happy we went, oh my goodness, I have to get a blanket this evening. It has been so hot. I hope all of you are having the same pleasure that we're having. Now, Durga Puja will be coming up Saturday. It will be live streamed on Zoom and on YouTube. So you're all welcome to get the links. I think Fania has sent them out. They're on our website. Read to the bottom. We are having a lot of people, mostly men, saying, but where are the links? Where are the links? And whatever.
Right.
So please join us remotely. And you all know to do your Jai Sri Durga chanting at the most auspicious time at 6:35 to 7:27.
23.
23 to 7:23 a.m., not p.m. like Swami sent out the first time. So 6:35 in the morning till 7:23. It's very precise. Yeah, okay. It's when Ma Durga is killing Mahishasura, the demon. So we have to help her. We have to urge her on. Be victorious, be victorious. Okay, I think we'll end with a chant. If there's no more comments or questions, we'll end with a chant. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Rama Krishna